Dear student, we are going to study the subject electrical machines 2 in this semester. In electrical machines 2, we have to study three-phase synchronous machines. Here we have to study synchronous motor and synchronous generator. Then unit number 3 is three-phase induction motor, induction generator and special purpose motors. In special purpose motors we have to study induction generator and brushless DC motors, stepper motors, permanent magnet motor and linear induction motor. Okay. Now this is unit number 5. We have to study AC series motor, compensated series motor and plain series motor, construction, operating characteristics and applications. And unit number 6 is single phase induction motor. There we have to study the various types of single phase induction motor, their starting methods, characteristics and application. So in this subject, first two units are based on the synchronous generator, three-phase synchronous generator, and unit number 3 is three-phase synchronous motor. So let us see three-phase synchronous machines. So now synchronous machines. Now synchronous machines, there are two main parts of the synchronous machines are the armature winding and the field winding. Armature winding and the field winding. Synchronous machines import AC power or export AC power. Okay? In synchronous machine, armature winding import AC power. Operating mode is synchronous motor. It converts electrical power to mechanical power. And export AC power, operating mode is generating. So in this mode, synchronous generator converts mechanical power to electrical power. So in both the modes, importing AC power or exporting AC power, in both the cases, three-phase armature winding deals with AC supply, but its field winding in both the modes connected across the DC source. So we can say that synchronous machines are doubly excited machines. Synchronous machines are doubly excited machines. Armature winding AC and field winding DC, so it is doubly excited machine. Now see the construction of the synchronous machine. So high power armature is stationary and low power field winding is made rotating. In small synchronous machine, reverse construction is also there. In a big rating machine, high power armature winding is made stationary and field winding is made rotating. Whereas in small synchronous machines, armature winding is rotating and field winding is stationary. Okay, so there are some advantages of the using armature as the rotating part. Now advantages of field winding rotating and armature winding stationary. Advantages of field winding rotating and armature winding stationary. First advantage is more economical. Second advantage, more efficient. Then third advantage, better insulation. Fourth advantage, efficient cooling. Fifth, more output. And sixth, lesser weight and inertia. Now one by one we'll study all the advantages, why it is more economical, why it is more efficient, and so on. Let us see first advantage, more economical. See, it is economical to have armature stationary, three-phase armature stationary and field winding rotating. Why it is more economical? Suppose consider three-phase star connected 200 MVA 11 kV synchronous machine. Three-phase star connected 200 MVA 11 kV synchronous machine. For this machine, line current is Q upon root 3 VL. This line current is Q is kVA rating. kVA rating is 200 MVA. So 200 MVA is multiplied by 1000, so it becomes 200 kVA divided by root 3 into VL. VL is line voltage. So we get line current is about 10,500 ampere. So alternator armature is star connected, line current is 10,500 ampere. This is huge current. If armature is rotating, then we have to provide 3 slip rings on the shaft, each capable of handling 10,500 ampere. Got this thing? If armature is made rotating part, to collect three-phase supply from the armature, we have to provide 3 slip rings for 3 phases on the shaft, each capable of handling 10,500 ampere. And we have to insulate each slip ring from the shaft and from one another for 6.3 kV. This is phase voltage. This is phase voltage. So line voltage is 11 kV divided by root 3. So we have to insulate 3 slip rings from one another and shaft for this voltage. And as alternator is star connected, 4th slip rings for the neutral we have to provide on shaft. So you got this first point. So if armature is made rotating, then line current is 10,500 ampere per phase. To carry this current, we have to provide 3 slip rings for 3 phases on the shaft, each capable of handling 10,500 ampere, and at the same time we have to insulate 3 slip rings from one another and from shaft for 6.3 kV, and 4th slip ring also we have to provide for the neutral. So on shaft there will be total 4 slip rings. Okay? Then field power is low power. Field winding required very low power. This is DC power. So field power is low power, and for this generator field power is assumed 1 megawatt at 500 volt. This is 500 volt DC excitation, and field winding is taking 1 megawatt power input. So for this data, field will take exciting current of 2000 ampere, and to carry this current to supply this current to the field winding, only two slip rings we have to provide on the shaft to carry 2000 ampere current, and we have to insulate two slip rings from one another and shaft for 500 volt only. So you got this thing. Here we have to provide, if armature is rotating, 4 slip rings we have to provide, and each slip ring carrying 10,500 ampere, and we have to insulate slip rings for 6.35 volt. And here field winding, if armature is stationary and field winding is made rotating, then field winding is carrying only 2000 ampere current, because field power is small, excitation voltage is small, and insulation we have to provide for 500 volt only. Therefore it is economical to have stationary armature and rotating field. This is first advantage. Clear? Second advantage, more efficient. Why it is more efficient? So if armature is made rotating, armature is made on stator and field winding on rotor, only two slip rings on the shaft are required. Therefore slip ring losses are very small if field winding is made rotating. So slip ring losses are small because there are only two slip rings, and both slip rings carry small amount of current comparatively. Therefore slip ring losses are less, and so it is more efficient. Okay? But if we provide armature on rotor, then there will be 3 slip rings and carrying large current, so that slip ring loss will be large, so it will be less efficient. Clear? Then point number 3 is better insulation. Okay? So here stationary armature winding can be insulated satisfactorily for higher voltages. So synchronous machine can be designed for high voltages up to 33 kV generating voltage. This is generating voltage of the AC generators running in the power station. So today maximum generating voltage is 33 kV in the world. 33 kV in the world. Generating voltage is small. 33 kV in the world. And for this voltage, armature winding is insulated, and it is for this voltage armature winding is insulated, so that we can provide better insulation for the stator winding. Stator winding nothing but armature winding. Stator winding is armature winding, and rotor winding is field winding. Okay? So stator winding is armature winding because ki stator of 3-phase induction motor and the armature of synchronous machine is same. Winding in both the machine is same. Rotor winding is different. Okay? Then fourth advantage is efficient cooling. Stationary armature winding can be cooled efficiently. Stationary part we can cool efficiently, and so that ki synchronous machine can be designed for large power output. So large power output is 1000 megawatt and above. As per my knowledge, in India, rating of the synchronous generator is not above 500 megawatt. Okay? So if we design armature winding stationary, then it can be cooled efficiently, so that we can make synchronous machines for the large power output 1000 megawatt and above. Clear? Then fifth advantage is more output. See, low power field winding is on the rotor. Low power field winding is on the rotor. For the example, in point number 1 we have seen armature is dealing 200 MVA, whereas field winding is dealing only 1 megawatt power output. So field power is very small as compared to armature power. Clear this thing? Now see this point. So why it is more output? So low power field winding is on the rotor. Therefore, to deal with this low power, copper required is small. Weight of copper is small. So rotor is lighter in weight, so that we can rotate a rotor at high speed. Got this point? Okay, as field power is small, copper required for the winding is less, so rotor having less weight, so that low weight rotor we can rotate at high speed, and output of the machine is directly proportional to speed, so that this lighter weight, if rotated at high speed, then power output we get more for the same dimensions, same size. And last advantage is lesser weight and inertia. So field power is small, so that copper and insulation required is less. So overall weight and inertia of the rotor reduces. This allows use of low priced bearings and longer life, and the minimum wear and the tear. Now next point, types of the synchronous machines. So based on the rotor construction, synchronous machines are of two types. Number one is salient pole type, and number two is cylindrical pole, round rotor, or non-salient motor, non-salient pole type synchronous machine. Now we will see the construction of salient pole type or projected pole type synchronous machine. Salient pole synchronous machine. Your rotor shown in red. This type of field poles are called salient poles. Okay? Now consider slots 12. Armature slots are 12 and poles 4. So armature is the stationary. This is armature shown by blue. This is armature and this is the field pole. So poles are 4 and armature slots are 12. Now 3-phase distributed winding is placed in the armature slot. Now we are showing 3-phase winding in the armature. Now let us see, this is a coil. Before going to this is the coil. You may be seen this thing in the DC machine, in the DC machines, armature design of DC machine. Now this is the coil. Okay? Coil have two parts. This is coil 1. Coil may be single turn, 2 turn, 3 turn or multi-turn. Generally coil is multi-turn coil. So this is a coil of multi-turn. This is symbol. Now it has two coil sides. This is one coil side and this is another coil side. This portion of the coil is placed in the slots, armature slot. This portion of the coil is placed in the armature cords. So this is called active conductor. Whereas this portion of the coil, this is in the air gap. This is providing path to the current. But whatever flux produced by this is not utilized for the energy conversion. So that this portion of the coil is called conductor. Now coil have two conductors depending on the number of turns. If this is single turn coil, it has two conductors, assuming this as a single turn coil. So it has two conductor. This is conductor 1, this is conductor 2. Let this is A1 and this is A2. Okay. Now these are the slots. Slot number 1, slot number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. These are the 12 slots. So angle between two slots, slot 1 and slot 2, slot 2 and slot 3. Angle between two slots is called slot pitch. And this is equal to 360 divided by number of slots. But 360 is a mechanical angle. This is a mechanical angle. We have to convert this angle in electrical degrees. And we know electrical angle theta electrical is equal to P by 2 theta mechanical. This is the formula. Now this is N pole of the rotor. This is S pole of the rotor. This is 4-pole rotor. So this is 1 pole, 2 pole, 3 pole and 4 pole. The angle between two adjacent poles, this is called pole pitch. Pole pitch is the angle between two adjacent poles. So this is the pole pitch, and pole pitch is 180 degree electrical. 180 degree electrical. Pole pitch is 180 degree electrical. Okay, so this is the pole pitch and this is 180 degree electrical. Same time this is 180 degree electrical. Mechanical is 180 degree, but this is 180 electrical. This is 180 degree. This is a 360 degree electrical. Again this is pole pitch 180 degree and this is also 180 degree. Now this is the center of N pole. This is the center of N pole. So center of pole is called polar axis or pole axis or direct axis. So polar axis, pole axis is called direct axis. So this is direct axis. This is direct axis. This is also direct axis. And the interpolar axis, this is if we plot line from this center. Now slot angle pitch. Slot pitch angle, if we want to determine, this is denoted by gamma. Slot pitch angle gamma. This is 180 degree electrical. So this is 180 degree electrical upon number of slots per pole. Number of slots per pole. So this is 180 degree electrical, and slots per pole. Total slots are 12 and poles are 4. So slots per pole are slots per pole. How much? 3 slots per pole. So 180 upon 3 slot. So this is equal to 60-degree electrical. This is 60-degree electrical. This is the slot pitch. It means that so angle between two slots is 60-degree. So from this to this is 60-degree. From this to this 60-degree, this to this 60-degree, and so on. This is electrical angle. And electrical angle, as we know, theta electrical is equal to P by 2 theta mechanical. To calculate electrical angle, this is the formula where P is the pole, P by 2 theta mechanical. You can calculate angle. So angle bit slot pitch angle is 60-degree electrical. Now come to point. This is coil 1. It has two conductors, conductor A1 and A1 dash. These are the two conductors from coil 1 of phase A, and the angle between these two coil sides is called coil pitch. This is coil pitch. This is coil pitch. So coil pitch is taken 180-degree electrical. Then it is called full pitch coil. So here pole pitch is the angle between N and S. This is 180-degree. And coil pitch is also taken 180-degree. So coil pitch and pole pitch is equal. So in this case we can say this is full pitched coil. So placing conductor A1 in the slot 1, this is A1, this is placed here, A1, and its second conductor of the same coil is placed in 180 apart. So this is 60, this is 120, and this is again 60. So this is 180 apart, and this is nothing but A1 dash. So this is coil 1 of phase A, 180 apart. So this is full pitch coil. Then second coil of same phase is placed in slot number 7. This is second coil of same phase is A2, and second coil side of coil 2 is placed 180 apart. So this is 60, 120 and 60. So this is A2 dash. So coils of phase A occupy 4 slot. Slot 1, slot 4, 7 and 10. Now placing phase B, coils of phase B. Coils of phase B is starting 120 from phase A. So where to start phase B? Phase B is 120 from phase A. So this is 60, this is 60. Phase B is start from slot number 3. So this is B1. From this coil side, next conductor is placed 180 apart. 180 apart. So this is 60, 60 and 60. So this is B1 dash. Then second coil of phase 2 is from slot number 9. This is B2, and B2 prime is placed in slot number 12. So this is B2 dash. So this is phase B. Phase C is 120 from B1. So this is B1 is here. From this 120 phase C we have to place. So this is 60, this is 60. So phase C we have to start from slot number 5. So this is C1 of phase C, C1 in slot 8. This is C1 dash, this is 180 from C1 to C1 dash, 180. Then C2 second coil, this is C2, and from C2 this is C2 dash 180. So A1 and B1 angle should be 120. B1 and C1 angle should be 120. Then A1 and A1 dash angle should be 180. B2 and B2 dash angle should be 180. Okay, so this way we have to place the armature winding. So this is armature of the salient pole, and same armature is used for the non-salient pole machine. Only rotor is changed. So this type of rotor is called salient pole type rotors. So in the armature, winding is distributed. This is distributed winding. All the slots are filled with three phase winding. And on field poles, this is field pole, N pole, this is field winding. So on field poles, field winding is placed. This is field winding, this is field winding. All these field coils are connected in series, and finally DC supply is connected to the field winding. So this type of poles are fitted on the shaft is here, fitted on the shaft by nut and bolt. Okay, this is one pole, this is shaft, here is shaft. On shaft, field poles are fitted mechanically by nut and bolt, second pole, third pole and fourth pole. So in salient pole construction, if we see here, under the pole center, air gap is minimum. This is pole center, polar axis, air gap is minimum. And if we move towards the tip of the pole and then adjacent pole, the air gap is increasing. And across the quadrature axis, air gap is maximum. So we can see here कि under the pole center, under the pole axis, air gap is minimum, and under quadrature axis, interpolar axis, air gap is maximum. So that we can say in salient pole machine, air gap is non-uniform. Air gap is non-uniform. This is one point we have to remember, because finally we have to compare this machine with non-salient pole machine. So first thing we have seen here is कि air gap is non-uniform. Under the pole center, air gap is minimum, and at interpolar axis between poles, adjacent poles, air gap is maximum. So air gap is non-uniform in salient pole machine. Second point is that field winding is concentric field winding. This is field winding. One coil is placed here. This is another coil, another coil, another coil, and all are connected in series. So this type of winding is called concentric winding. So on field poles, winding is concentric. Clear? This is second point. Third point. So if field poles are placed on the rotors by nut and bolt, so if we rotate field poles for high speed, then nut and bolts will be break, so that the poles will be mechanically damaged. So we cannot rotate this type of poles for high speed. So that we can say कि salient pole synchronous machines are most suitable for the low speed operation. You got this point? कि field poles are fitted on the shaft by nut and bolt. This type of poles are, if rotated for high speed, due to high centrifugal force, nut and bolts will be broken. Therefore the poles may be broken. Therefore these machines you cannot design for high speed. So salient pole machines are suitable for low speed operation. Now see, if speed is low and frequency is 50 hertz, frequency is constant, we have 50 hertz frequency. So frequency f is Pn upon 120. So to get same frequency, speed is small, we have to increase the number of poles. We have to increase the number of poles. So in salient pole machines, number of poles are large and speed is small. So if number of poles are large, for example, if this is 4 pole machine, so 4 pole machine, its synchronous speed for 50 hertz frequency will be 1500 rpm. This is too large, we have to reduce the speed. If we make 8 poles, then how to place poles on the rotor? This is the problem, how to place poles on the rotor. So to accommodate all 8 poles, only option in our hand is increase the diameter of rotor. Rotor diameter is here. We have to increase the diameter of rotor. Then if diameter of rotor is increased, automatically the diameter of machine increases. So it means that कि salient pole machine have large diameter, comparatively large diameter and small axial length. This is the point. Okay? So these are the differences, or these are the points we have to remember for the salient pole machine.